G20 foreign ministers are meeting in the southern Italian city of Matera. On the agenda, the pandemic, climate change and international taxation. A draft communiqué shows that the G20 will endorse a deal setting a global minimum corporate tax. The world's 7 richest nations backed a minimum tax rate of 15% earlier this month. Now, for more, we're joined by Professor Jonathan Portes from King's College London for more on this. Professor, what are your views on setting a global minimum tax on corporate profits?
Well, I think this is long overdue. It's quite obvious that it is not efficient or economic from the perspective of any country that companies should simply be shifting their headquarters or their taxable income simply to avoid tax rather than for good economic reasons. So while this is an extremely complicated topic, it won't be easy to turn this into a deal that actually has teeth. I think the medium to long-term benefits to governments and hence to taxpayers and to people, to us as taxpayers and consumers of public services, are potentially very large. So it's something that we should be welcoming, and it's excellent to see that the Biden administration has taken the lead on this after the US has and other countries have blocked progress on this for so many years.
Help us understand, Professor, how would such a structure impact companies and economies? Who stands to gain and to lose here?
I think the gainers will be both large industrialized countries like, for example, the US, perhaps some large European countries, and possibly some developing countries as well, from which taxes or profits are shifted. The losers will be places that have relied in order to attract companies, have relied on very low or zero corporation tax rates. In the EU, notably, that is, of course, Ireland, which has a very low corporation tax rate, and as a consequence has seen lots of profit diverted through it. Some offshore financial centers that also have low or zero corporate tax rates also stand to lose. The big question will be whether big companies do actually pay significantly larger tax bills as a consequence. If so, that will obviously be a cost to them and perhaps indirectly a cost to consumers. But I think on the whole, the benefits will substantially outweigh the costs for most individuals.
Professor Portes, you've indicated that it won't be easy to give this deal any teeth. So what are the challenges of implementing this global minimum corporate tax?
It's all very well to have a minimum tax rate. That setting the rate, whether that's 15% or 17% or some other number, is in a sense the easy part. The difficult question is defining what that rate is. How do you measure profits? How do you ensure that profits aren't still shifted in some way that enables companies to avoid or evade their tax bills? And that's particularly relevant with some newer tech companies. For example, there's been quite a bit of talk about Amazon, because Amazon actually, which has a very high investment rate, actually doesn't declare much in the way of profits. Yet, quite understandably, countries want to make sure that Amazon too sees a significant increase in its tax burden as a result of that. So there are all sorts of difficult questions on how you determine what a profit is, where it is for economic purposes, where that profit is deemed to be made, and what, if any, to what, if any extent, do we put in regulations to stop companies shifting profits around in order to continue to avoid paying as much tax as they possibly can.
Professor Portes, thank you very much for your thoughts. We've been speaking there to Professor Jonathan Portes from King's College London.